That is a 2-year-old Tom that was about 30 yards off the road. I yelped at him with my mouth from the truck, and he gobbled back at me. In fact, he cut me off mid-yelp. Listen one more time. Yeah, some turkeys are likely easy to kill, and you can pretty much do anything, and they're going to come running. But the difference between a good turkey hunter and one that just kills the dumb ones is the person that can kill what seems like an unkillable bird to most. Sure, you can call a whole bunch, set up in the wrong spot, have the wrong cadence, and still kill a turkey. But if you get fooled or birds hang up on you more often than not, today is your episode.
You are tuned in to the Foul Weather Podcast, the forecast to your next successful hunt. Coming to you from the home office, Jack's Reef, New York.
Time to talk turkey tactics. Like duck hunting, the calling, the interaction with the bird, that is what makes turkey hunting more than just shooting. Today, with turkey season closing in the south, going at mid-latitudes full bore, and still yet to open in many places in the north, we talk turkey killing tactics. Whether you didn't get your birds and your season is closed, you are in mid-battle with a bird you just can't kill, or you are dreaming of those misty woods just getting green, those misty woods that are just getting green and hoping to hear your first gobble of the season, if any of that is you, this is your episode. But let's be honest, just like trying to watch videos online to learn how to call ducks, what is depicted in most turkey hunting videos doesn't get you all the way there. And then the instructional videos often miss the mark. Join us for Turkey Time Tactics for taking more birds. And if turkeys aren't your thing, stay tuned with us until the end as we tackle the BS in the waterfowl world. We took they juice and made it our juice. Wait for that one. A quick reminder to rate, follow, like, and share the Foul Weather Podcast to get all the latest updates and our exclusive duck migration forecast each Monday morning throughout season, plus all of our informative content throughout the year. Be the guy at the coffee shop with the real information about the ducks and where the ducks are at. I appreciate you all being here very, very much. We thank our every week listeners. You know who you are. Those that never miss a single migration forecast episode each Monday morning. Y'all are as ate up as me about ducks, duck biology, and duck migration. You know where the ducks are at before the ducks know where they're at. Think about that. You know where the ducks are at before the ducks even know where they are at. Our dedicated weekly listeners can pick the best days to hunt because the Foul Weather Podcast forecasts fresh ducks hot from the north. Shoot the ducks from the north before they know where they're at. I'm your host, DrMike, coming to you from the home office in Jack's Reef. Man, the big news at the farm is that we've had our new yellow lab female Nimue, or Little Nugget as we like to call her. The Little Nugget has been here at the farm in Jack's Reef now for about 3 weeks. I'm kind of losing count. It's kind of a great time here at the farm, and we are absolutely in love. She is by far the best puppy we've ever raised so far, but I don't know. I guess we've probably said that about every dog we've owned, but she hasn't been out too much because she just got her second round of vaccines last week, but she has been on a marsh berm hike at Montezuma Wildlife Management Area. Specifically, she was at Guy Baldessari Memorial Marsh, named after the late Guy Baldessari. He's the dude I took my first waterfowl course from at ESF. It's where I also teach now. You also might know Guy from his authored book, Ducks, Geese, and Swans of North America. If you don't have a copy of this double book set, you should really have it as a reference on your bookshelf for all things ducks, geese, and swans. Anyhow, Nimue did that run, kind of a short run with Jaeger and Dr. Zug, and then went and scouted turkeys the other morning with Jaeger as well. She's not quite sleeping through the night. We got to get up and pee a little time. She's got a little bladder, so sometimes I've been foggy teaching in the AM and during Zoom meetings. They're fun when you're trying to have a dog eat something in the background, or, she's barking at another dog, but she's already retrieving and can't seem to take a walk at the farm without carrying a stick, and not like picking one up and dropping it a few steps later, but carrying the same stick for 5 minutes or more at a time. I really don't think she's going to be too hard to train to retrieve or do the whole, hold the bird thing. So she hasn't really swam yet, but has taken a few kind of short dips in this little tiny dug pond on the back 40 that we have. Other than that, we are waiting, we're awaiting turkey season, and hence the turkey episode here. We got lots of seed started and planted several apple trees, 5 persimmons, actually near my wife's deer stand. Cleared about a half acre of dogwoods and young trees with the tractor, which, we'll just let grow back, but we can't let it all go too long or we'll kind of lose it to old field habitat and maybe start into young forest, which we don't want. We mostly want food and cover near the ground because we're mostly deer, turkey, and rabbit habitat. Good one, rabbit habitat. I guess we'll call that rabbitat from now on. So we're deer, turkey, and rabbitat at the farm. On that note, we've got our orders in for the Hancock Seed by Foul Weather deer food plot mix. And even though we're kind of upland, we also picked up a bag of the Northern Waterfowl food plot mix because it's just generally a great cover crop. And it's also going to be eaten by deer and turkey as well as all the songbirds we kind of love at the farm. But wow, have we been wet. Holy smokes. The Seneca River and Erie Canal are way out of their banks, and the remaining ducks, geese, and swans, and heard sandhill cranes yesterday, they're loving life. I think some of the Canada goose nests actually got flooded out already. We had muskrat huts. We're sitting about 2 feet high, and they're underwater now, so no matter, those Canada geese will re-nest, and those are the local birds. They're pretty hardy. But yeah, we've had our third wettest March on record since 1902, and the wettest year since 1949 for the month of March. So we've been super wet. We also got some snow coming tonight. This episode is coming out on Monday, 20 April. So yeah, we are dipping into the mid-20s up here in Jack's Reef Country. And we're going to have to cover some peach and pear trees that are already kind of in flower. Hopefully we don't lose too much of it. We're going to lose some apple production for sure because on Saturday we hit 81 degrees. Whew. We buy northern tree varieties, but just kind of the hardware store junk doesn't really make it, right? Those hardware store trees you buy just aren't built very well for the northern latitude. Lots of times they're just generic, but we buy northern variety fruit trees that can withstand cold and often flower a little later, so we won't get hit like most. Anyhow, the turkeys are strutting and they're gobbling, and it's also time to start to think about food plots, folks. Up next, we dive right into tips for tagging more turkeys, so please stick with us. It is months until planting season, but your vision is already clear. The land is your passion, and Hancock Seed has your back. You plan food plots to feed and attract game in ways that matter for months. Live on your land with Hancock Seed. Today you plan, tomorrow you harvest. With Hancock Seed, you get family farm faith, nearly a century in the making. Hancock Seed has partnered with Foul Weather to produce 3 distinct seed blends. The Northern Deer Food Plot Mix, a proven combination that keeps deer coming all year round. The Southern Waterfowl Mix for carbohydrate-driven ducks. And the Northern Waterfowl Mix, built to succeed even in the toughest summers. Hancock Seed specializes from turf to plow and beyond. Find them today at hancockseed.com. That's hancockseed.com. All right into the turkey tips. Okay, so we probably have to start with, does DrMike have the credibility to talk turkeys? Because he's a duck guy. So here's the deal. I mostly study ducks, geese, and swans, wetlands, other wetland wildlife, and I'd say factors affecting water quality. But if you ask me what makes DrMike, I identify as a turkey hunter. During the reintroduction of wild turkeys to New York, the Dead End Valley I grew up in was among the first areas to get turkeys moved from Allegheny State Park. It was a trap and transfer operation. My father was among the first to get a turkey tag in the state of New York. We listened to turkey calling tips on a 45 record, those little tiny records. Yeah, so those little records. We also had Iron Butterfly, the Eagles, Led Zeppelin, and others of the time. But I also remember playing the turkey calling records over and over again. Mom waiting tables at the local fish fry place, a jukebox in the background playing country music, and Dad and I at home still practicing turkey calling in the living room, listening to those records. Dad had an original Lynch box call, and he always used Quaker Boy mouth calls. My dad's mom, my grandma, grew up in Orchard Park, New York, the same Orchard Park where the Buffalo Bills play. And Quaker Boy was started in Orchard Park. Now, in Springville, New York, just south about 30 minutes or so is where that Quaker Boy company exists today. I still blow and only blow a Quaker Boy triple cutter. Again, I just like Quaker Boy. They're not a sponsor of the podcast. I am just saying what I use. I don't know. It might be that Quaker Boy triple cutter might be called a cutter mag now or something like it, but it's a 3-layer with a cutter cut to it, and it's a killer. My box call that I use is some custom-made thing I bought a long time ago at a mom-and-pop store in Olean, New York. The place is called Whitetail Country, and it's also where my dad purchased me my first pair of binoculars. But lots of roots in turkey hunting and turkey calling. This one day I sat down on that call. I almost broke it. It almost killed me. But it stayed together, and it honestly made that box call sound a little better. I grew up just down the road from Dr. Steve Eaton. He was a St. Bonaventure University professor of ornithology, so that's about birds. And he was also part of the New York Turkey Reintroduction Project right in the valley we grew up in. Dr. Eaton was the son of Dr. Elon Eaton, who authored The Birds of New York in 1901 and was a prominent hunter conservationist of his time, just like his son, Steve. All right, so I'm rambling a bit. But the point is that turkeys are culturally in my DNA, just as much as the woods of the Allegheny Plateau are in my blood. And each spring, I run through the woods of the eastern forest with a fever for turkeys. Having traveled far and wide to get a grand slam of turkeys? No, I have not done that. But I have spent enough hours with these eastern birds to know a bit. I hunted Rios in Oklahoma, and it was kind of a joke. And I've never shot a Merriam, but I did spend time with an old girlfriend in the Black Hills of South Dakota, getting them to gobble at me by making something that sounded like a hen out the window of a truck on a drive through the mountains in late winter. Nothing compares to an eastern wild turkey in hill country. The challenge is great, but doable. And even compared to ducks, the nuance is greater, the challenge more, and the opportunity to do something dumb and not be able to make up for it is greater. I think ducks are forgiving and turkeys are not. But maybe enough rambling. I guess I'd like to use Mississippi as a quick example of my turkey shooting acumen. The first year, it took me 12 days to shoot 3 birds. The second year, 9 days. My good friends at Mississippi State University that turkey hunted when I walked into the office on day 10, the day after I'd bagged my 6th turkey in 2 years, I walked in with a smile on my face, and all I got was, "Time for you to go home, Yankee." I will remember those days forever in the big woods in the hill country of Mississippi. All right, but I do digress, and we should get into the main show, turkey tips. These tips are typically for big woods eastern turkeys, but they kind of apply everywhere. If you watch the videos that are out there, they are mostly field edges because that is what you can easily film. Run and gun is not on the menu most of the time. You also will simply get horrible advice like I once heard from some old dude. When a turkey gobbles, you should just call right back to him so he knows where you are at. Man, that is a really good way, maybe, to have birds hang up all the time. And that old timer probably killed a lot of turkeys, but he probably also had a lot of turkeys hang up. Before we just get into tips, I do need to express how much safety matters in turkey hunting. I run light and I run and gun a bunch. I don't sit in a blind because I feel it is boring. No judgment, you do you. We also kind of hang out at the farm here in Jack's Reef, and we don't have a lot of movement we can do because it's small. But my tips here are for big eastern woods turkeys, the toughest and most fun game in the woods you can have each spring. The leeks are up, the Mayapples jump up too, the thrushes sing their music, the ovenbird yells, "Teacher, teacher, teacher," and the song of the veery spirals. The orioles, scarlet tanagers, and warblers come later as the woods turn from brown to green, and before you know it, it is summer. The month of May in my life is life. But first and foremost, let's ensure we are around to experience that next spring. Don't stalk turkeys, and always identify your target as a turkey. Never shoot unless you are 100% certain. So let's jump into it. Number 1, scout for turkeys, so you know where your turkeys are at. Admittedly, because I work a lot, I go into the woods blind a bunch, and that is often why I shoot a turkey on the second day of hunting a new area. I have to kick around 3, 4, 5 areas before I can pin down some birds, look at the terrain, and get into the right spot on the second day. But if you think you are just going to walk into the woods, walk into a place and kill a turkey, sure, you can do it, but you probably just reduced your chances of killing a turkey by 50%. Number 2, and this is a long and convoluted one, the roost and your timing in the conversation with the bird. I can't express this enough. After you got the whole scouting thing down and then aren't in a dead spot in the woods, you likely have a turkey on the roost near you. I don't like to go in on top of them. Some folks don't. I don't like to do it. I've just spooked too many birds, even in the dark. Have I done it and been right under them? Yeah. Is it spectacular? Yeah. But I usually get maybe 80 to 100 yards, maybe 150 yards away, I think is reasonable, and get just in the right place where they're going to come down and kind of get in their kitchen where they want to strut. You start with the short roost call. I mean, the box call is the best bet for this kind of longer and subtle, what is called a tree yelp. It is drawn out and lazy as if the hen is just getting up. If you get a gobble, great. If not, so what? If he starts to gobble on his own before you call, then time him. Count it out. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, until he gobbles again. Do that for 3 gobbles and then average it. If he is gobbling on average every 25 seconds on the roost, which is kind of short, but it is possible, then get ready to give a tree yelp he can hear at about 20 seconds, 5 seconds before he gobbles. He should hit it right when you call. After that, let him go for about 3 or 4 gobbles, then do the tree yelp, but throw in a soft cluck or 2 or a cut as well. He should hammer right after. If he is disinterested, it is possible he just has a hen right near him, and he knows it. Your curveball is always a live hen, and then there's not much you can do about it. Be okay with walking away from a turkey if you have to, honestly. But let's jump to the on-the-ground conversation thereafter. The bird pitches down at you. All right, FYI, turkeys like to pitch down into hillsides and towards the sun. Think about that when you are scouting. Use the old-school USGS topographic maps, and those layers are available on most hunting apps. Most hunting apps, those are available on. So give it a go. Look at them. Know your terrain. Okay, so he's on the ground and probably closed anywhere from, let's say he flew at you, 20 to 30 yards on the fly. The gobble now is actually going to get quieter because the cover, the trees, and other vegetation are cutting down the sound. He's going to sound about 50% quieter. You should hear this instantly and know he's on the ground. At this point, if you can't see him, this is when I use my hat, fanning him against my leg to make a fly down sound, and then cut like crazy for about 5 seconds on my Quaker Boy triple cutter mouth call. So I wear this kind of old school, really super crummy Bowie hat, whatever you want to call it. It's basically a rag that sits in your head because I can form it, where it covers most of my glasses, and when I bang it against my leg, it sounds a lot like a turkey wing of turkeys flying down. So I do that, cut a bunch, and then I go dark. I go completely dark, and I let him gobble again. He usually does this kind of right away or soon after hitting the ground. When he gobbles, I count 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000 until he gobbles again. Now that he's down from the roost, I don't wait for more 3, 4 gobbles to average out. He needs attention when I can give it to him, because another hen might be nearby and possibly not with him yet. So when he gobbles the second time at 32 seconds, I call lightly on the box call, but a solid yelping sequence right at like 27 seconds. So, he got to the ground, gobbles, then 32 seconds later he gobbles. So now I wait. I count that time out, right? And I'm making sure I'm calling right before he calls again. So I yelp like more like I'm awake, not that tree call anymore, right at 27 seconds. Pow! So he hammers away. Good. If not, we assess the situation. No need to panic yet. We can move on him if we have to, use the terrain. But if he starts gobbling on his own and doesn't budge, you really need to assess the landscape and see where he's going and see if you can possibly move on him and use the landscape. So point number 3 below covers reading the landscape, and we'll get into that in a second. But key in all the conversation is understanding the basic breeding behaviors of turkeys, right? This dude that says, call right back at him. Well, all that does is say, I'm coming to you. I'm a hen, I'm coming to you. The primary way that turkey behavior happens is gobblers gobble and hens come running to them. But we can't come running, so we must convince him to come our way. We must control the conversation. So very often when a hen won't move to a tom or mature gobbler, she is already in a place that has another male, maybe a jake, but something keeping her attention. But she always wants to have more choices among the boys, so she will call back, but not in urgency. So don't sound too urgent at first. So you pay attention to the timing of the conversation. Never, ever call directly back to a gobbler right away every time he gobbles. This is a great way to get a turkey to hang up. It says, I hear you, here I come. And he will just sit on his strut line, loud then quiet. You'll hear this, loud then quiet. So he's moving to and from you on a strut line, but he never budges. And then he gets bored, or a hen shows up, and game over. The morning is done. And you're like, oh, I heard a turkey today, and I had a great conversation, but I didn't kill anything. Well, you probably didn't kill anything because you did it wrong, right? So you only call when you think he is going to gobble, using the timing method, right? 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, or 20 1,000, 23 1,000, 24 1,000, depending upon where you're at. Now you do it, right? Just before you think he's going to gobble. Pow! He gobbles. Perfect. Now silence. Gun up. He pitched out from 150 yards away. He hit the ground at 120. You did the fly down, the flop of the hat, and the cut, then waited on him. You called when you thought he would call. You got him hooked. He gobbled again. Pow! There he is at about 80. Half strutting, he gobbles. At this point, you cut hard at him for a very short period of time. The decoy is not in front of you, but off to your side, so he sees it, and so you can move as you like. He bows up. Doom. He blows up. Doom. Strutting and drumming. But you go silent. He knows where you are at now. You don't need to call at him anymore. He'll hang up if you call at him anymore. You know it. You watch him move among the big oaks, the maples, the beech trees. Your heart pumps. The brain goes into autopilot. Head down, head down, head down, you think. The mental gymnastics you must play to put a bead on a big bird's head without peeking and shooting over him. You think the turkey might hear your heart pounding. He tucks down from strut and covers ground fast. Man, turkeys can move fast, you think. The box call is now sitting next to the big oak. The mouth call is all you have. He continues fast, but behind a big maple. He pops out at 40 yards in full strut. Super soft yelps come next. His eyes lock on that decoy, and he moves a few more now at 30 yards and steps back into full strut, coming forward. But you give on the call. His head pops up. Boom! Done. Stone dead at 25 yards. A nice, cooperative 2-year-old gobbler. We all know that feeling. Every waterfowl hunter knows the feeling. You're motionless in the marsh at first light, watching birds work the spread, hoping this season is as good as the last, hoping that the future has birds working the spread for generations to come. At the Theodore Roosevelt Conservation Partnership, the mission is simple: to guarantee all Americans quality places to hunt and fish. For waterfowl hunters, that means safeguarding habitat and migration corridors and creating more places to hunt, so strong fall flights and good hunting opportunities aren't a thing of the past. As the nation's largest coalition of conservation groups, TRCP brings together hunters, anglers, and conservation partners to make sure the future of waterfowl hunting stays strong. Learn more today and join the TRCP by visiting trcp.org. Number 3, reading the landscape. The badge of a quality woodsman is knowing their terrain. The ridges, the benches, the gullies, where the timber cuts are at, where the down logs are at, where the rock outcroppings are, the brush and the blind spots. This is usually why I kill a turkey on the second day of a hunt at a certain location. The first day, the terrain gets identified, but then the homework happens. You drive around the block afterwards to look at everything a little closer. You look at the topo maps at home and Google Earth to get the lay of the land. You know what moves you can make and what moves you cannot. So from the best case scenario, the early turkey talk happens. We time his gobbles, we gain the conversation, and we just shoot him from where we sit. But that is only about 10% of the hunts I have ever experienced. If you blind hunt and field hunt or hunt flat ground, much of this, I guess, is a non-factor. But in eastern turkey kind of country and hill country, we have terrain to work with, right? And we should probably use it. I once shot a turkey 15 or so yards uphill that was only about maybe 5 flat yards from me. The bird actually, I shot it from behind an oak tree and it literally fell down into the gully at my feet. The gullies in Mississippi Hill Country really are your friend. And that's kind of how, I learned to move and use terrain, but man, some of that terrain in Mississippi was definitely to my benefit. And I just don't think other dudes were moving as close to birds as I was. But understanding the topography really matters in a lot of places. When a turkey hangs up, man, you can wait it out or you can just move and get within 100. I call it that 100-yard circle sweet spot. If you can move within 100 yards of a gobbling bird without him seeing you, he's going to come that extra bit damn near 100% of the time. Obviously, the safest bet is to have a long landscape in front of you, to see and shoot a turkey. And everyone should always identify their target before shooting. I can't express that enough. But the suggestions that you have a wide open landscape in front of you so you see a turkey coming also gives the turkey the opportunity to look for a hen he can't see. And even if you have a decoy in the woods, it's not moving. And they don't give a hoot about that most of the time. A big tom hits the edge of the ridge and he has 60 yards of open woods with your decoy. The game here is he struts, and the hen should run to him. That's the behavior. So if you're sitting way back from the edge, he's going to hang up, no doubt. You just screwed yourself. In my younger years, I got caught, in this a few times with a big gobbler, and he just wouldn't move. I gave that long shot, missed him, and he ran off. I'm pretty sure I never even hit him with a pellet. I was just too eager. And set up in the wrong spot, and I was doomed to lose, right? So set up at the edge of a break. That bird's calling, he's gobbling away, and you're doing that whole rhythm thing. You're not calling when he calls. You're kind of waiting and then calling at the right time when you think he'll gobble. And you're 30 yards from that break, and you should hear doom, doom. And on a calm day, you'll hear as he spits, right? Turkey spit. They do this doom thing. And you're going to hear that before you even pull the trigger. Then you'll see the fan, doom. And you're set up from 30 yards on the edge. And when that bald head shows, he continues forward. And he might not be right where you want him to be. That hen decoy is off to your side, not in front of you, but just off to your kind of left, maybe right, 20 yards. Catches his attention. You have to move your barrel about 10 degrees right because he came up a bit off from where you heard him, but he doesn't really see you because he's looking at that decoy. He comes out of strut. He takes a step. Boom! Big bird down. Number 4, never give up and go more days than you think necessary. Consecutive days in the field are required to regularly kill turkeys, period. To me, the month of May is sacred. It is dedicated to turkey hunting more than anything else. It's also planting season, the end of my school semester, but mostly it is turkey hunting. Put in the days necessary, and you don't have to go every day, but go the days that count, and always make sure you have 2 consecutive days in a row, 1 to locate and learn, and 1 to kill a bird. Number 5, experience spring. There is something that turkey hunters do across our range. They experience spring unlike anyone else, from brown woods to full leaf out. From the preseason scouting when it's still cold and dreary to the near heat of summer. In that time, no matter where you live, the woods come to life. For us in Jack's Reef Country, it starts with the slow greening of the understory and early leaf-out trees, the spring ephemerals, the mayapple, the Dutchman's breeches, the squirrel corn, the trout lilies. These are all spring ephemerals that grace the forest floor for a fleeting moment. The oaks come on last and bloom late, but the native bees find them and need them no less. The spring woods is alive, and turkeys are in it along with turkey hunters. Man, experience spring. Run through those fields and forests in pursuit of that elusive wild turkey. But also know that your dollars are adding up to save places as a hunter conservationist for all the great critters that make the spring woods whole. Go kill a turkey, my friends. Fool that bird. Because too soon it will be summer, and then time to fool the ducks once again thereafter. My friends across duck country, time to step up your calling with Beckman Game Calls. These beauties sound like a duck. Just have a listen. First, a real hen mallard, and then the Edison in the flooded timber of Arkansas. Beckman Game Calls with a lot of new colors and woods coming soon. Both the Edison and the Groundbreaker calls are adjustable to your air pressure, and the Groundbreaker is the first adjustable cut down on the market. Check out Beckman Game Calls today at beckmangamecalls.com. A quick closing comment. We just interviewed Jake Chronister of the Living Lake Initiative in Minnesota, and it was refreshing to hear about duck people across duck country coming together to find ways to put habitat back on the ground in Minnesota. Minnesotans have a strong tradition of waterfowling that they should be proud of, but they also let duck habitat slip out from underneath them as drainage tile and nutrient loading greatly diminish their hallowed hunting grounds. This spring, Minnesota waterfowl hunters convened the Minnesota Duck Summit with the theme Empty Skies Demand New Ideas. And I'd like to interview someone about that summit this summer because it really looks like Minnesotans watched duck habitat just disappear and did little, for the most part, in the past. The summit was mostly about season structure and bag limits, things limiting access and reducing opportunities for duck hunters when duck hunter numbers have been declining. Dr. Ton Arnold of Delta Waterfowl gave a great talk at the summit about how duck harvest at its current level is not driving duck populations, but rather landscape level change, mostly from farming and increased pressure from nest predators, has driven hens to the brink. But here the theme is the same, that we need new ideas to save ducks in duck hunting, and that the lever is something about the duck season rather than looking in our own backyards to the breeding grounds and just doing what we've always done and realizing that we can't win the battle for the ducks unless we focus on sustaining the real conservation practices that work for ducks. That is conserving and restoring wetlands and grasslands. So if you feel like pouring gasoline on the fire, continue to spew your BS about harvests, driving duck populations, keep rattling on with the complete dysfunctional corn comment, and keep blaming the duck hunter next to you for everything rather than finding ways to work together for the ducks and focus on the breeding grounds. Believe me, what I'm saying here is a positive comment. Come together and focus on habitat, right? Ducks are in trouble. But they're not in trouble from the gun. They are in trouble from the habitat. Your BS is just fuel, or maybe we call it juice. I recently heard this term, and I love it. We took they juice, and we made it our juice. Said another way, if you spew BS, we at the Foul Weather Podcast are going to make it our juice, our fuel, for putting out the good information that duck hunters deserve. We took they juice and we made it our juice. I think we've been holding strong to that all along. Next episode, we talk habitat conservation and the Minnesota Living Lakes Initiative. After that, we meet with Ed Farley, Ducks Unlimited Manager of Conservation Programs for Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and he is also a lifetime duck hunter of the Mattamuskeet region of North Carolina. We will talk with Ed about the outcomes of last season and the challenges on the East Coast to keep the ducks with us. Thanks for listening, and as always, may your skies, and in this case, turkey roosts, be filled. And shoot straight, my friends.